Hey, thanks for joining us on YouTube. What are you doing here? Oh, across the line, and my stick is shorter than. Hello everybody, I'm Brian Adams and welcome back to part 3 of my monster truck building. They made this truck. They actually made 3 identical trucks. They picked up one that they liked a lot, and they picked up a couple more in the junkyard, and they put them together and they assembled them, or they all assembled them all together so that they look like one another. And I guess a couple of the trucks drove, and one didn't really move that well, but in any case I think all the trucks move nowadays, and they're actually owned by individual people. And of course the whole idea of the truck was that it was the entity of the creeper itself. That was another form that he took in the movies, and it was really interesting, one of the great trucks. Anyway, let's take a look this week and see where we are this time. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking these that I've done and I am changing that to this, where I'm sanding them down with a piece of sandpaper, and then little notches and things like that. I'll put a little bit more epoxy on them and sand it down and get it smooth. These are the outside tires. What I've done is I went ahead and put a hole in the center, and put a hole in the center on the top here, and a hole in the center on the bottom there. I've marked where I want it to line up. I want it to line up here and here, and I'll put those 2 pieces together and it would going to look like this. You can see that hole goes straight down the center there. And then I have a 1/16 of an inch metal rod that goes into it for right now. That's what we're using. It'll just go straight on down, and that way it rolls. Do that on all 4 of them. Also, I have this device that I made up. It is 2 teriyaki sticks that I put together, taped them the same space, and that is for the tires when I sand them to make them as smooth as possible. And what happens is this will be the distance judging to tell me whether or not I'm equal all the way around. Alright, and I haven't glued anything yet, but I'm showing this is how the tire will fit around the rim. Each one is cut for it, and we'll lock that into place in a minute after we glue these. And I'm going to mark a distance on the back to make sure they're equal to all 4 tires. And this other half, let me put the camera down for a minute, back side, and we will put spacers between the front and the back of the tire, and glue that and lock that in place before we put the tread in. Fiberglass resin on the back of the hubcap there, and these little things here that I'm making have fiberglass on one side. The fiberglass side is going to go on the inside of this, and that's the back side of the tire. We're going to put that about 1/4 of an inch down into it and then build it up with epoxy. You can see the tires above it, any little notches or little dents or whatever, have epoxy on them to build it up so I can sand those smooth next. Alright, so the next step we've done is, this is the back. We've applied it to the rest of the rim. We put an epoxy around the edge there, and then we've sanded everything, made it all smooth, and then what we've done, this is the tire part of it, the outer part. We've actually gone and tacked it. We measured it from here to here on each tire to make sure that each rim and each tire would be the same size, the same distance. The little spots there are fiberglass resin that you see that I put on there. Now that each one has been tacked down, the reason you tack it is because if you need to move it, you can break it away free, easier than the whole thing. And now that those are in where I want them at, I will go ahead and beat it around with fiberglass resin. Here's the front of the rim. You can see we put what we call the lug nuts on there. The ones in the front get 5, and the ones in the back, they get 10 lug nuts. That's just the epoxy that's been put on, equally spread out over the whole rim, and cut to size and then lightly sanded. We made sure that we sanded the edges so that the tire would fit perfectly in the middle. If it didn't fit, we put like 2 pieces of just regular pieces of paper as a spacer, and then kind of taped it along to make sure the tire held before we did the fiberglass resin. And now you can see I've added the tires to the rims. Oh, okay, here we go. So here is the outer tire is on, and we're now taking a piece of paper and running it all the way around, gluing it, letting it dry, and we're going to close it up on each one of these. You can kind of see it's like that. And then we're going to go ahead and put fiberglass resin in there and some epoxy. Side view. There's the tire on the right, and here's the one that I'm working on. Give you an idea. Looks like it kind of, there you go. And here's the back tire. See all the lug nuts on it. We just haven't put the center part in yet. If you like what you saw today, hit that likes button. I appreciate that more than anything. And don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll be able to see where we're going in the future with this particular vehicle and what's going to happen on my channel. As always, I appreciate everybody turning in and watching. So until next time, we'll see you later. So long, everybody.